30 minutes, Louisiana looked stuck. The Cajuns went into halftime trailing Coastal Carolina 7-0. KJ Towers was struggling. The running game wasn't giving them much, and an offense that had spent the week preparing for this moment looked like it had left something back in Lafayette. Then the locker room doors closed. Michael Desormeaux spoke. Rob McElroy spoke. And according to sources close to the program, the message was not gentle. Louisiana came back onto that field and scored 28 second-half points. The running game erupted. The freshman quarterback settled down, and the Cajuns walked out of Coastal Carolina with a 28-17 victory. Tonight, the War Room has details from inside that halftime locker room. Carter LeBlanc, Trey Guidry, the floor's yours.
28-17, and Trey, that might be one of the most misleading 11-point wins you're ever going to see.
Because if you turned that game on at halftime, you would have thought you had the wrong Louisiana team.
7-0 Coastal Carolina. Louisiana had scored 0. KJ Towers did not look good. The backs weren't doing much. The offense had no rhythm. Nothing looked comfortable. And then somehow they come out after halftime and drop 28.
And before we do anything else tonight, I want to make sure we evaluate KJ correctly. Because everybody's going to see the hurdle, everybody's going to see the second half highlights, everybody's going to see Louisiana win, and I don't want the highlight package rewriting the first half. KJ was bad early, period.
He was 16 of 30 for the game, 168 passing yards, 1 touchdown, 1 interception. And that first half was rough, but
I know, there's a but.
There's a big but, because we spent this season talking about the development of this true freshman. And what happened after halftime might be one of the most important pieces of that development we've seen, because KJ Towers didn't just start magically playing better. He got coached, and Andre mentioned this at the top. We know a little more about that halftime than we did when the game ended.
Here we go.
Now, before anybody starts sending me messages, no, I'm not giving you names.
Don't even try.
We're protecting our people. But we've spoken to people close to that locker room, and multiple sources gave us essentially the same account of what happened. I'm going to make something clear. These are not recordings. We're not claiming every word is verbatim, but this is the substance of what was said. And apparently, Michael Desormeaux went first. And he wasn't talking about Coastal Carolina. Exactly. We're told Desormeaux essentially told them, they're not doing this to us, we're doing it to ourselves. Which is exactly what the game looked like. Louisiana wasn't getting bullied, they weren't physically incapable of playing with Coastal, they were just playing bad football. And Desormeaux's challenge went beyond KJ. This was aimed at the entire group. One line that was repeated to us was, stop waiting for somebody else to make the play. Do your job and give the man next to you a chance to do his.
That tells you exactly what the coaches were seeing. 11 guys waiting on somebody else to fix it.
Then Rob McElroy got with the offense, and this is where the quarterback conversation comes in, because we're told he went straight to KJ, but it wasn't some screaming session. He wasn't trying to break the kid down, he was trying to calm him down.
Which is what KJ needed.
One of the messages attributed to McElroy was, quit trying to win the whole game with one throw. And then this, I don't need Superman, I need my quarterback. That's the line. That's the line right there. Because that's exactly what KJ looked like in first half, trying to fix everything himself, trying to make the big play, trying to force the game to speed up. And McElroy is basically saying, stop, run my offense, take what's there, trust the guys around you. And then KJ comes out and hurdles the defender into the end zone, which is hilarious. Coach says, I don't need Superman. KJ apparently hears jump over somebody. Maybe that part got lost in translation. Apparently. But here's what matters. The message wasn't only about KJ. We were also told McElroy challenged the backs in the offensive line. Essentially, we're gonna find out right now if we want to be a physical football team or just talk about being one.
And then look what happens.
221 rushing yards by the end of the game.
That's not a quarterback-only turnaround. That's an offense responding to a challenge.
Exactly. And there was one more piece that both of us heard.
Yep.
Before Louisiana went back onto the field, McElroy essentially told that offense, the first half is gone. You get 30 minutes to decide what this game is going to say about you.
And there is your entire game.
30 minutes. Louisiana had 30 minutes to decide whether this was going to be remembered as the night they came out flat and lost at Coastal Carolina, or something completely different. They chose something different.
And this is where I give KJ credit, because criticism only means something if you also give the player credit when he responds. The kid responded.
Different demeanor, different confidence, different football player.
Not perfect.
No.
And I want that word in there. Not perfect, but dangerous.
That's exactly how I describe it. He stopped looking like a freshman trying to solve an exam and started looking like a quarterback playing football. And then you get the touchdown run. 3 yards out, KJ gets toward that goal line, takes off, and this man decides we're not going around the defender, we're going over him.
I don't recommend it.
Of course you don't.
Quarterbacks are expensive.
He cleared him.
He did. It was nasty.
There we go. We got Trey Guidry to admit it.
Don't make this a thing.
But that play felt bigger than 6 points, because after that first half, you could feel KJ's confidence coming back.
I agree. But here's the next level for him. I don't want to keep doing this.
Doing what?
Waiting until halftime. At some point, second half KJ has to become first quarter KJ.
Absolutely.
Because better teams might not give you 30 minutes to figure yourself out. You come out slow against the wrong opponent and halftime arrives with you down 3 touchdowns. Then there is no inspirational turnaround. You're just trying to survive.
And that's the next stage of his development. The comeback is impressive. Eventually, we need the comeback to become unnecessary. And I want to hammer something else home. This was not just KJ, because those backs weren't doing much early either.
Nothing.
Then the second half hits, Antonio Rockwell finishes with 13 carries for 104 yards and a touchdown. Antonio Reagan gives you another 51 yards and a score. KJ adds 46 rushing yards and a touchdown. Louisiana finishes with 221 on the ground.
That's why I loved hearing what McElroy apparently told them. We're going to find out if we want to be physical, because they answered the question.
And how about the offensive line? We've been on that group this year.
Deservedly.
We've talked about leakage, we've talked about KJ being under pressure, we've talked about protection issues. But you don't run for 221 without somebody up front moving bodies.
Especially when your run game looked as bad as it did early. Something changed. They started playing downhill. The backs started hitting things harder, and suddenly Coastal had another problem. Now they couldn't just worry about the freshman quarterback.
There's something else that came out of this game that I liked from Rob McElroy, and you're going to appreciate this one.
I'm listening.
He took some responsibility for what happened to the defense.
As he should.
Of course you'd say that.
Because it's true. When your offense keeps going 3 and out or keeps giving the football back, you're putting your defense in a bad situation. Defenders get tired too.
And apparently McElroy acknowledged exactly that, especially early. The offense wasn't sustaining enough. Coastal keeps getting possessions, and eventually your defense is playing way too many snaps.
Thank you. Finally, an offensive coordinator speaking my language. Don't send my defense back onto the field every 3 minutes and then ask why they're breathing through their ears.
That's the visual.
It's accurate.
But that accountability matters because McElroy could have stood there after a win and just celebrated the second half offense. Instead, he's looking at the first half, saying, we contributed to putting our defense in some bad spots. That's coaching. And since we're talking defense, go ahead. This is your room.
Thank you. Gilbert Leslie, again, 8 tackles, 2 tackles for loss, 2 sacks. That man just keeps showing up every week. He's becoming one of those players where you start the defensive film by asking, what did Leslie do this time? And he wasn't alone. B. Stewart gets 2 sacks too. Louisiana was getting pressure. They were disruptive. And then Cam Riley almost gives us one of the defensive plays of the year.
80-yard interception return.
80 gets all the way down near the goal line. That basically kills Coastal's last real push.
And Louisiana forced 2 turnovers.
That's winning football. And there's another piece of the final score that people need context on. Coastal scored 17, but by late in this football game, Louisiana was emptying the bench.
Let's make this crystal clear before somebody starts a quarterback controversy that doesn't exist. Lunch Winfield did not replace KJ Towers because KJ was benched.
No.
Louisiana was up 28-10, around 5:19 remaining. They started putting backups into the game on both sides. Lunch came in because the game was essentially decided.
Cleanup duty, that's all it was.
Now,
Here comes my butt.
your turn.
That context matters, but Lunch still did not play well. Correct. 1 completion on 7 attempts, -3 passing yards, took a sack. Some of it comes from playing with the second-team offense. Protection isn't the same, timing isn't the same, receivers aren't the same. I understand all of that, but some of the mistakes were still Lunch Winfield mistakes.
And that's the fair evaluation. Don't grade him like he entered a tie game with Louisiana starters, but don't pretend every bad rep was somebody else's fault either.
Exactly. And most importantly, nothing about that appearance changes the quarterback room.
KJ Towers is QB1.
Correct.
So give me the KJ grade.
I'm giving him 3.
3.
First half, bad. Second half, very encouraging. Whole game, somewhere in the middle. Okay, I'll allow it. Because I refuse to let the hurdle make us forget the interception. I refuse to let 28 second-half points erase 0 first-half points. But I'm also not going to pretend the response doesn't matter. It matters a lot, especially for a true freshman. Exactly. The biggest thing I learned about KJ tonight isn't that he can hurdle somebody. We knew he's athletic. It's that he can struggle badly, get challenged by his coaches, reset mentally, and come back. That's important information.
And it says something about his relationship with McElroy, too. We've been following that all year. That quarterback-coordinator relationship is growing. There have been moments where Rob has had to calm him down, moments where he's had to coach him through things. This one happened in real time with the whole game sitting there.
And KJ responded, "Now I want McElroy to figure out how to bottle whatever second half KJ drank at halftime and give it to him before kickoff next week."
Put it in the Gatorade.
Something.
All right, let's get to the people. And our first super chat comes from somebody who's been having a pretty good couple weeks. Tyler Boudreau at Cajun Tyler 337, the proud owner of that Gilbert Leslie jersey. Tyler says, "I'm starting to think this jersey's lucky. Is this defense officially becoming the identity of the team?"
Yes.
That's it?
Next question.
Come on, man.
What do you want me to say? Look at him. Leslie is everywhere. Stewart gets 2 sacks. Riley nearly houses an interception. They force turnovers. They keep answering when the offense puts them back out there. So yes, right now if you ask me what part of Louisiana football I trust the most, the defense.
I can't even fight you on that one. Tyler, enjoy that jersey. At this rate, Gilbert Leslie might show up at your house and ask to borrow it back.
Don't give him ideas. Next super chat.
Are y'all worried about KJ continuing to start games slowly?
Concerned? Yes. Worried? Not yet. Difference? He's still young. We knew there would be growing pains, but the reason I'm more demanding now is because he's already shown me what he can be. Once I see second half KJ, I'm gonna start expecting that guy. That's the price of development. Expectations rise.
I agree. The standard changes when you show people your ceiling. Louisiana finishes with 386 total yards. Coastal finishes with 350. Louisiana runs for 221, 25 first downs, and here's the number that tells you everything. 28 second half points.
That's the game.
Not the hurdle, not one throw, not one defensive play. The response.
Because anybody can look good when the game starts well. I want to know what happens when it's ugly, when the quarterback is struggling, when the run game is struggling, when the road crowd feels good, when you're sitting in that locker room at halftime with a 0 on the scoreboard. Who are you then?
Louisiana answered that tonight.
They did.
And I think that's why this win carries more weight than 28-17 might suggest. This team fixed itself during the football game. They didn't get to go back to Lafayette and spend 3 days fixing it. They had a few minutes in a locker room. Coaches challenged them, players responded, go play. And now, Georgia State. And I can already tell you what this week's offensive meeting needs to start with.
What's that?
The first half.
Not the second?
Nope. Everybody's going to want to watch the touchdowns. Everybody's going to want to watch KJ hurdle the guy. Everybody's going to want to watch the run game get loose. Start with the ugly tape. Ask them, why did we need halftime to become this team?
That's good.
Because against Georgia State, the assignment should be simple. Take Coastal Carolina's second half Louisiana and put them on the field from the opening kick.
KJ starts faster.
Run game gets established earlier.
Offensive line builds on what it did.
And the offense keeps the defense from having to carry the building for 30 minutes. Because if they can do that, if this defense continues playing the way it has, and McElroy can get the offense playing consistently for 4 quarters instead of 2, this becomes a dangerous football team. That's the next step. Consistency.
So, one word for Coastal Carolina.
Response.
That's mine too.
You can't take mine.
I'll go with belief.
because Louisiana spent the first half looking like a team waiting for something good to happen. Then those coaches challenged them to make it happen themselves, and they did.
28 unanswered before the late substitutions. That's a response.
KJ struggled, then settled down, the back struggled, then got rolling, the offensive line answered, the defense kept making plays, and somewhere inside that halftime locker room, Michael Desormeaux and Rob McElroy got through to them.
And McElroy apparently told them, you get 30 minutes to decide what this game is going to say about you.
Well, we know what it says now. Louisiana 28, Coastal Carolina 17, and Georgia State is next. Andre, take us home.
30 minutes. That's what Louisiana had to decide how this game would be remembered. They made their choice. Louisiana 28, Coastal Carolina 17. Now Georgia State is waiting. For Carter LeBlanc and Trey Guidry, I'm Andre Fontenot. This has been The War Room.